Welcome, brave listeners, to a night of chilling tales that will linger in your thoughts long after the final words fade. Tonight, we delve into the realm of prophecies, words whispered from beyond, promising glimpses of the future, but at a cost too grim to bear. These are not stories of hope or redemption, but of inescapable fates, where the truth of what lies ahead becomes a curse that no one can outrun. Across misty forests, cursed mirrors, and haunted hills, three tales await, each bound by a prophecy that seals the doom of those who hear it. Dim the lights, let the shadows creep closer, and prepare yourself for the weight of destinies foretold. For once these stories begin, there is no turning back. Story 1. The Prophecy Under the Moonlight. In a small village nestled beside a dense forest in northern Vietnam, the people lived in an eerie calm. The village, called Tân Lan, was a place where no one dared venture into the forest after sunset. Legend told of an ancient well deep within the woods, once home to an old seer known as Mother Moon. She could foresee the future through the moonlight, but her prophecies never brought hope. They only foretold death, loss, and inescapable tragedy. In 1985, a group of young villagers decided to defy the legend. The group consisted of Hung, a bold but arrogant young man, Elaine, a shy girl haunted by strange dreams, and Min, Hung's loyal friend who always carried a notebook to jot down everything. The trio mocked the tale of Mother Moon, dismissing it as an old wives' tale meant to scare children. On a night illuminated by a full moon, they sneaked into the forest, armed with flashlights and a bottle of rice wine for courage. As they neared the heart of the forest, the air grew heavy. Owls hooted ominously, and the wind whispered through the trees. Min, the most sensitive of the group, stopped abruptly, his voice trembling. "I hear something, like someone calling my name." Hung laughed it off, but Elaine grabbed Min's hand, her eyes wide. "I hear it too. It's calling my name." After an hour of wandering, they stumbled upon the ancient well. It sat in a clearing, surrounded by stones carved with strange, forgotten symbols. The water in the well was pitch black, reflecting the moonlight like a mirror. Min, though terrified, pulled out his notebook and began sketching the symbols. Hung, emboldened by the wine, shouted, "Where's Mother Moon? Come out and give me a prophecy." Suddenly, a freezing gust of wind extinguished their flashlights. The moonlight grew brighter, shining directly into the well. Elaine screamed, staring at the water. "There's something in there." A face. All three peered in, and for a moment, they saw a shadowy figure, an old woman with white hair and pupil-less eyes. A raspy voice echoed, its source unclear. "You have summoned me. You will receive your prophecies." Before they could flee, the water rippled, and each saw a vision. Hung saw himself torn apart by wild beasts in the forest, blood pooling around him. Elaine saw herself drowning in a river, invisible hands choking her. Min saw himself standing in the village, surrounded by the corpses of its people, holding a bloodied knife. They collapsed, terrified. The voice continued, 3 days. You have 3 days to escape your fates. But no one escapes my words. They fled back to the village, too scared to speak of what happened. Hung grew irritable, constantly glancing at the forest with fear. Elaine stopped sleeping, tormented by dreams of drowning. Min, desperate, began researching the symbols, hoping to break the prophecy. On the first day, Hung decided to leave the village to avoid the forest. He sped off on his motorbike toward the nearest town, but halfway there, a pack of wild dogs appeared, chasing him. In a panic, Hung lost control and crashed into a tree. The villagers found him the next morning, his body mangled, just as he had seen in the well. On the second day, Elaine became hysterical. She avoided all water, refusing to bathe or drink. But that night, in a trance, she walked out of her house and headed straight for the village river. Min, who had stayed up late researching, saw her and chased after her. He shouted, trying to pull her back, but Elaine seemed possessed, plunging into the water. Min jumped in to save her, but the river felt alive, dragging them both down. When the villagers pulled them out, Elaine was dead, and Min barely survived. On the third day, Min was desperate. He discovered that the symbols were part of an ancient curse, requiring a sacrifice to break. He returned to the well carrying a knife. Under the moonlight, he cut his hand, letting blood drip into the well, begging Mother Moon for mercy. But the voice returned, "You chose wrong. The sacrifice must be the entire village." The next morning, Min awoke in the village square. Around him lay the bodies of every villager, just as he had seen in the well. In his hand was the bloodied knife. No one knew what happened that night. Min was arrested for murder and locked away. But in his cell, every full moon, he heard Mother Moon's whispers, "My words are always true." Story 2. The Curse in the Mirror. In 1990, Mr. NAM's family moved into an ancient house on the outskirts of Hanoi. The house once belonged to a famous fortune teller, rumored to commune with spirits through mirrors. After his death, the house sat abandoned for decades, shunned due to stories of ghostly cries and shadowy figures in the night. The family consisted of Mr. NAM, his wife Lien, and their 2 children, Thao, a curious 16-year-old, and Fong, a timid 12-year-old plagued by nightmares. On their first night, Thao found a large mirror in her bedroom, covered by an old cloth. When she pulled it away, the mirror gleamed unnaturally, despite the dusty house. She called Fong to see, and both felt a chill staring into it. Fong whispered, "Sis, I see someone behind me." But there's no one here. Lien, a practical woman, dismissed their fears. But NM, who had heard of the fortune teller, grew uneasy. He dug into the house's history and learned from an elderly neighbor that the fortune teller died in front of the large mirror after delivering his final prophecy. Those who look into the mirror will see their fate, but their souls will be trapped forever. On the second night, Day's curiosity got the better of her. At midnight, while the house slept, she stood before the mirror. In the dim light, she saw herself, but different aged, with white hair, standing in a blood-soaked room. A cold voice spoke from the mirror. 30 days. You will kill those you love." Thao fled, terrified, and told Fong, too scared to sleep alone. He looked into the mirror and saw himself trapped in a dark room, choked by invisible hands. The voice repeated, 30 days. You cannot escape. NAM, hearing their stories, decided to destroy the mirror. But when he swung a hammer, the mirror didn't break, it vibrated as if alive. From then on, the family was haunted. Lien heard cries from the mirror at night. NAM dreamed of burning alive in the house. Thao and Fong grew paranoid, avoiding any reflective surface. The family sought a shaman to break the curse. He explained that the mirror was a portal to the spirit world and could only be destroyed by facing the prophecy. Thao, despite her fear, stood before the mirror again. This time, she saw clearly, herself holding a knife, standing over the bodies of her parents and brother. She screamed, begging the mirror to stop, but the voice only said, "You cannot change it." Over the next 30 days, the family unraveled. NEM grew paranoid, suspecting Thao would harm them. Lien tried to keep peace, but she too saw horrifying visions in the mirror. Fong, in a panic, tried smashing the mirror with a chair, but shards flew back, injuring him gravely. On the 30th night, Thao decided to leave to protect her family. She left a note, vowing not to let the prophecy come true. But as she stepped outside, she heard Fong scream. Rushing upstairs, she found him lifeless before the mirror, blood pooling from his throat. NAM and Lin burst in, but the house suddenly caught fire. In the chaos, Thao grabbed a knife to defend herself, unaware she had stabbed her parents in the frenzy. As flames engulfed the house, Thao stood before the mirror, seeing herself old, white-haired, in a bloodied room. The mirror shook, and the voice declared, "My words are fulfilled." The house burned to ash, with no survivors. Yet rumors persist that the mirror remains, waiting for its next victim. Story 3. The Prophecy on Howling Hill. In 1975, Thuan, a freelance journalist, ventured into the mountains of northwest Vietnam to research local cultures. He heard of a place called Howling Hill, avoided by locals due to tales of a shaman named Master Word, who could predict the future with chilling accuracy. From natural disasters to deaths, his prophecies always came true, but each came at a cost. Those who heard them were haunted by the hill spirits. Chuan, a skeptic, resolved to visit Howling Hill. He hired Keiichi, a local youth, as his guide. Keiichi warned him, "Don't ask Master Word anything. His words come true, but they'll destroy you." Chuan laughed, dismissing it as superstition. They reached the hill at dusk. The wind howled, carrying sounds like distant sobs. At the summit, they found a small hut where Master Word lived. The old man's face was etched with wrinkles, his cloudy eyes piercing. Chuan, driven by curiosity, asked, "If you see the future, tell me how will die?" Master Word stared silently, then said, "You will die on this hill, torn apart by beings not of this world. But first, you will bring death to all who travel with you." Chuan laughed, thinking it a scare tactic, but Keiichi trembled, begging Chuan to leave. As they descended, a sudden storm erupted. Lightning cracked, and Chuan heard footsteps behind him. He turned, seeing nothing. Keiichi screamed, "They're coming! The spirits of the hill!" Before Chuan could react, Keiichi collapsed, blood streaming from his eyes and nose. He died instantly, without a mark. Chuan ran, lost in the storm, and found a small cave for shelter. In the darkness, he heard whispers. "You brought us here." His flashlight revealed strange carvings on the walls, faceless figures with long arms hunting humans. Chuan realized Master Word's prophecy wasn't just words, it was a curse. Chuan returned to the village for help, but found it desolate. The villagers stared at him, calling him the Cursed One. An old woman explained that whenever Master Word spoke a prophecy, the hill awoke, and its spirits hunted all involved. The only way to stop it was to return to the hill and confront Master Word. With no choice, Chuan ascended Howling Hill, clutching a machete. Along the way, faceless shadows with long arms attacked, trying to drag him into the darkness. He fought, but each slash only made them dissolve and reform. At the hut, Master Word was gone. Instead, Chuan found a stone circle on the summit, etched with symbols like those in the cave. Standing in the circle, he shouted, "Stop this! I don't want to die." But the wind roared, and the shadows surrounded him. In his final moment, he saw Master Word in the storm, eyes glowing. "I told you, no one escapes." The next morning, villagers found Chuan's body on the hill, torn apart, his face frozen in terror. Howling Hill fell silent, but locals say that when curious souls visit, the wind carries Master Word's whispers, waiting for the next victim. And so, the tales come to an end, but their shadows linger. The prophecies of Mother Moon, the cursed mirror, and Master Word remind us of a chilling truth. To know the future is to invite its wrath. These stories, born from whispers in the dark, warn us that some truths are better left unseen, some paths better left untrodden. As you step back into the light, ask yourself, would you dare to hear your fate, knowing it might bind you to a doom you cannot escape? Sleep lightly, dear listeners, for the echoes of these prophecies may follow you into the night. Until we meet again, when the next tale calls from the shadows.